Hi everybody, Larry Vela here. I'm here with JayArr.
How's it going, folks?
And we have the new Path to Glory supplement for Age of Sigmar. This is the latest expansion for Age of Sigmar.
Absolutely.
I love that this expansion is it's 88 pages. It's soft cover. Ooh. And it's a 20-fold increase of rules compared to the 4 pages of default rules.
Yeah, no kidding.
But it's really not.
Yeah.
So what we have here is this expansion is completely devoted to
It's all about campaigns.
Yes, it's all about campaigns.
There was a section in the General's Handbook,
which we'll show you really quickly. If you remember way back in the General's Handbook days,
there was the Path to Glory as
there
well.
was, right, where is it?
It's on
Path to Glory.
64
right there.
is where it starts.
Yes. Path to Glory campaigns. It goes on 64, and Path to Glory and Path to Glory back in the General's Handbook. It introduced the concept. These are basically very, very short campaigns. It's just it's just an entirely different type of playing. You're going to get together with a bunch of friends. You're going to make little war bands. You have tables, and then you're going to play a bunch of games for glory. And after a few weeks of play, there's going to be a winner, and then you're going to reset. And the cool thing was that your warbands got better from game to game.
Yeah.
So they got more followers, and you got gifts and cool rewards and things. And it's all kind of light and very fun. And it's an entirely different. It's cool because it's an entirely different construct for a small group of gamers to get together and have fun with their miniatures. You don't need really crazy amounts of miniatures for it.
No, because it's just your champion and a small warband of their followers.
Yep.
So you've got those minis laying around, and you can just dive in and start playing.
Yep.
And it takes maybe a month or so to play out one of these campaigns.
So the Path to Glory section in the General's Handbook was obviously it was a pretty abbreviated affair. It had tables for some of the major armies. And it had a couple missions. So what this book is this is that little tiny kind of 20-page section pulled into 88 pages, and now it's getting its own book. So this is the reason I really like this concept is that it is an organized structure, but it's an organized structure that's not competitive play. It's not like going to a tournament and building hardcore lists and going after this is a way for this is a really nice construct for a group of friends to just get together and have fun. These are going to be, the missions are kind of weird and they're funky, and what we have here is this expands it, updates it, which we're going to get into here shortly, and it definitely brings it into the current era of Age of Sigmar. The General's Handbook has been out for about a year, so as an example, it didn't cover lots of the armies that have come out since then that are now in this book.
Like the Caradron Overlords.
Exactly. So we're going to flip over here. We'll take a look at the table of contents. Hold this guy right here. And first thing you're going to see, I'm going to have to hold it because it's a soft cover. It'll spring back up on me. So here is our table of contents. So it's 88 pages, 89 counting the roster for your warband on the back. And most of the book is there's 4 sections. You get a little narrative that's pure fluff, kind of a sample story to give you an example. Obviously, you guys are going to make up your own because all gamers are super creative. And then after that, you get your little gallery section of Games Workshop. Standard pictures of all their miniatures. We'll flip to all of these sections at a time. But the meat and potatoes, the vast majority of this book is 2 sections. You have the Path to Glory campaigns, and what this is this section going from page 16 to 30. These are your missions. So these are the missions that you're going to play during the campaign, and there are 7 of them in this book. They incorporate the Monolith and Beast Slayer. These were the only 2 that you got in the General's Handbook.
Right.
So they gave you 2 sample ones. Now you get a full 7 of them, and these are all compared to standard Age of Sigmar missions. These are pretty.
Yeah, they're exciting.
Yeah, they're really funky. They're like
can't
very.
Wait to dive into these
they're
guys.
very much not the I set up on that side of the board and you set up on this side of the board and we meet in the middle and fight. Like they are having you do all kinds of weird, funky things.
Yeah, they put your warbands in dire straits so that you have to fight your way out and earn that glory.
Yep. And then once you're past that, so you're definitely going to have a lot more variety on the actual missions that, that you're going to be playing. They give you 7, but to be honest, that's probably more than enough, because these campaigns aren't going to go for like, this isn't one of those things where you're going to say, hey, we're going to play a Path to Glory campaign, and you're still going to be playing that same campaign like 4 months later. Like, these are going to be done, you know, after a few games.
They're going to be super quick.
And we'll talk about the system, and then by far the vast majority of this book, going from page 30 to page 84, are the actual warband tables. So we had a few of them. There was about 10 or 15 pages worth of warband tables in the General's Handbook. Now we have 50 pages of them here. And what we have is so these are all the actual tables that you're going to use to generate your warband, pick your hero, get your followers,
figure out what rewards you get.
Everything you need to run that warband. And there's many more factions, as you can tell here. We have Slave to Darkness, Khorne, Tzeentch, Nurgle, Slaanesh. You can go down the list.
They've got all the fancy new guys.
Yep, all the new guys are in here.
A number of old ones that weren't in the previous Path to Glory section.
Absolutely. So it's not just the really brand new stuff like Kharadron Overlords that are in here, but there's warband tables that let you play all of the factions that are mainly composed of the old miniatures from Warhammer Fantasy. So now they have their new Age of Sigmar name. So you can have a warband that's Forces of Order, but those are all of the old Empire and the old elves and the old dwarves. So a lot of the people who still have those older armies lying around, you can totally jump in here and play this game too.
Same with the Seraphon. Let's start flipping through this.
So we're going to flip through here, and we're going to show you some examples. So, hey, how to use the book, all the normal stuff. So here is what we were talking about. This is all about kind of a narrative, themed background kind of concept of playing. So, of course, they're going to give you the first few pages are, a sample campaign. So purely from a point of view of fluff. It's just, here's a reason why you guys are fighting. And I'm sure you guys...
And here's kind of what the story of that looks like, and you guys are going to be playing out stuff like this on your tabletop.
Then you get your Gallery of Glory. This is just a generic several pages of various armies. It's exactly what you've seen. This is just, lots of Age of Sigmar pretty pictures. So we're going to flip past that, and we're going to get you to why you're actually here, which is how to actually play these campaigns. So these first 2 pages are identical to the rules in them are identical. These are lifted word for word from the General's Handbook, and this is just the general structure, and we're going to go over these. So how do you actually play? What is this thing that we're talking about? So it's all about making warbands and then having your warbands fight. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to grab your warband roster, which is which
is back at the end of the book.
There's a warband roster right there, and it has all your information on it.
The most important part, of course, is coming up with a name for your warband.
And you better have we want some cool names out there, people. No more like Fred's Chaos Slayers. We want some cool names. So you're going to get your roster. You're gonna pick your allegiance. That's the first thing you do. So are you Order, Chaos, Death, or Destruction? Then you're going to pick your champion. There's you can either pick or there's a table for that. And however your play group wants to do it. Then you're going to figure out how many starting followers you get, and the different champions have a certain amount of starting followers. So obviously, if you pick a champion who's really scary and badass, probably he's going to start off with almost no followers.
Right, but if you pick someone who's a little bit more in line with the followers, you'll get some more guys hanging out. Yeah.
So it self-balances that way, which is really cool. And then you're going to add all your followers into your units, into your warband. You're going to give it a name, and then off you go. And then how does this campaign actually function? So it actually functions in a pretty cool way. I like it because it is it's short. Like I said, the number one thing that ruins campaigns in tabletop gaming, actually in almost any type of gaming, is the same thing, which is that the moment it goes over like 4 or 5 weeks, people start dropping out, people have real lives, and the whole campaign falls apart and never finishes.
They'll lose interest. Yeah, you can't. So, it's hard to do like a big, long, years-long campaign.
People always talk about, it'd be great if I had this super campaign. It's going to be map-based. We're going to have like 30 players, and we're going to do it all summer long.
Right.
Never happens.
Right.
Always falls apart. So what we have here is this system is designed to be pretty simple. So what you're playing for is you're playing for glory. You're playing for basically points. And I like the system because it rewards play. Yes, if you win,
if you win, you get more.
You get more, but if you play, you get points. So it doesn't penalize losing.
Absolutely.
Really at all. So you're playing to 10 glory points. Whoever gets 10 glory points has a chance of winning.
Or you could play for might, because at the end of every game you also get rewards, and some of those rewards can be additional followers.
Right.
So if you get, what is it,
Five
more followers, then
yeah, if your warband has 5 units of followers, you are capable of winning.
Yep.
And if you have 10 glory points, you are capable of winning. So how do you gain these things? Obviously, at the end of every game, whether you win or lose, you get 1 point of glory, which is cool. If you win, you get D3, which is cool because you could roll a 1. So yeah. I mean, you could win and roll a 1, and then the guy who you played against got a 1, and you both, you had a fun game, and you both continue because you showed up and had a good time and played. And
exactly.
then at the end of every game, you're going to roll a D6, and that's going to, which is really a D3, and it's going to tell you what you gain as your reward in addition to the glory points for that game, for playing that game. On a 1 or 2, you get additional followers. You'll roll on the followers table. On a 4 or 5, you gain a champion's reward. You'll roll on the champion's reward table. That gives you a special power, basically, for your champion. And on a 5 or 6, you get a follower's reward, which is basically that you get a special rule for one of your units.
Right.
So what's going to happen, and as soon as someone has 5 followers or 10 glory, they are now capable of winning the Path to Glory campaign by sudden death.
Right. Now that's 5 followers that join after the campaign starts.
Yes.
If you start with 5 followers in your warband,
correct,
you can't just be like, haha, victory.
Yes, exactly. And then, so once you become eligible in one of those 2 ways, by glory or by might, basically you have to win your next game. So if you win your next game, you win the campaign. Perfect. And if you don't, then you still stay eligible, and then it's just sudden death, because there could be multiple people.
Yeah.
So realistically, I mean, this is going to take 4 or 5 rounds probably. So these campaigns are going to take about a month or more. If you guys are playing every day, you can do it.
Great.
If you have a lock-in, if you have an Age of Sigmar lock-in and just play nonstop, you can do it all in a day.
Sure.
It'd be crazy. You could do it. So now we're going to show you
some of the battle plans.
Some of the battle plans. You've already seen the original 2. That are from. We'll flip to those really quickly.
Yeah, they're right at the back.
Yeah, they're right at the back. So these 2, the Monolith and Beast Slayer, these are in the General's Handbook. So everyone has seen those. And then you get 5 new ones. So here's an example of one that I think is really cool.
Yeah.
So actually, Altar of the Gods, and it's a really funky mission. So one player starts here, another player starts here. There's these 4 altars that are put on different quarters of the table. Each altar, if you claim an altar, if you have guys within 3 inches of it, and there's no enemies, and you win the game if you table your opponent, as always, or if you control 3 of the altars.
Right.
So it's sudden death, which is really hard to do. So you already have kind of small armies, and you're going to be, and both players are going to be running around having to split up their army because you got to get 3 of these things at the same time.
And on top of that, the altars will either be punishing you with like a smite, or you'll be getting some kind of reward based on what altar there are. And there are 4 different altars. There's the altar of rage, change, resilience, or doom.
Right.
Each one, I would imagine, relating to a certain ruinous power.
Right. So, in addition to that, most of the missions don't modify the amount of glory points that are awarded, but some of the really tricky ones, like this one, do. So here's a chart, and this chart basically you roll the normal glory points, and then you get bonuses. But this one's actually really funny because this is you get to kind of see Games Workshop's, the designers kind of take on like,
who hates who?
Right, who hates who, and like it's not enough that you're fighting, it's why are you fighting?
Right.
Which I think is so there's this little chart here, and it tells you like who won and who lost, and you compare which of your grand alliances, and that gives the winner basically a certain amount of of bonus glory, but it's not a regular chart. It's like, I mean, it all balances out, but it's really weird. So as an example, so by default, if everyone hated everyone equally, this chart would be all 0s.
Right.
So,
but
it's really weird. So I'll take the chaos part of it, and because that's the one that makes sense, and then I'll let JayArr talk about the non-chaos part of it, which is the really funny part. So the chaos part, as you would expect, everyone gains 0 glory if you defeat yourself. So destruction faces destruction, win or lose, you're just getting normal glory points because there's no extra glory in beating yourself, or chaos versus chaos, or oh my god, order versus order. Why would that ever happen? But chaos and order gain +2 glory if they both defeat each other. So those are the two people who really, really hate each other. So I'll let JayArr talk a little bit about destruction and death, because those are weird.
Yeah, so chaos and order hate each other a lot. Death, however, hates chaos just as much, which makes sense from a fluff perspective, and is...
Because they're taking the souls.
Yeah, is kind of okay with order, but everyone just thinks of destruction as a pain that they have to deal with, because as you can see, no one gets any extra glory points for beating destruction, but destruction loves fighting, because, I mean, it's orcs and ogres, so they're just like, yeah, let's have a scrap. Glory for everyone.
So they gain... destruction gains +1 glory if they beat anyone who's not them.
Right.
And no one else gains any benefit for beating destruction.
So...
They're just like, oh, stupid orcs again, outside the city.
How many times is it gonna be?
Which is great.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
It's fantastic. So we're going to skip past that, and we're going to show you. Now we're going to go into the warband table. And like we saw on the table of contents, there's tons of these things.
Yeah.
So there's these for every... So we're going to show you 2 of these. So here's a Tzeentch one. We're going to show you one that's something new that we didn't have before. So as an example, in the General's Handbook, you got a general one of these for chaos.
Right.
But now we get ones for general chaos, and then we get... each of the 4 powers too. So you can have a Tzeentch warband and a Nurgle warband, whatever. So as an example, you know, on the Tzeentch warband, which is new, look at, there's this huge amount of champion of champions you can take, and they're pretty. I mean, it's a big range. Like on the top end of it, if you want the super bad guy, you get Lord of Change. That's a really scary champion, but he has 2 followers.
Right.
Or you could take all the way down to, you know, Magister or a Zongor Shaman. Definitely a way lower power guy. But those guys are going to start off with 4 followers. So you know, do you want the Death Chicken with 2 little groups of followers, or do you want like a big horde kind of a thing?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's pretty cool. And then and then based on whether your warband is Arcanites or demon followers, you have different tables for followers. And then you have different tables for hero followers. So there's different types of followers based on whether they're following the hero or they're the retinue, and then you have just kind of general followers as well. And then you have different reward tables. So if you after that battle was over, you know, you could get a new unit, which would be rolling on one of these tables. You could get a follower's reward, which is rolling on this table, and then applying the result to one of your units.
Yeah. So for example, you could get acid. No, that's on the...
Devotees of the Dark Light.
There you go.
So once per battle, in your hero phase, you can re-roll a die for each model in this unit that's been slain. On a 5 or 6, they get back up. So that's a cool one. That's, you know, you would roll that and you would just assign that, and then that one unit has that cool perk for the rest of the campaign. And once again, you know, because these campaigns aren't going to go really long, it's not like you're going to have these super crazy bands with like 20 of these things yet. You know, you're going to end up with like one or 2 of these things max. So it's just enough to give you a little bit of flavor. Champion rewards, same thing. These are just, you know, you roll 2d6 and you're going to get some special perk, and that's going to affect whoever your warband's champion is. So that's an example of one of the new ones. Clearly, this is all designed from the Tzeentch, from Disciples of Tzeentch.
Right, which
Battle Tome,
recently came out.
Which wasn't out at the time.
Yeah.
But now I'm gonna flip through a little bit, and I'm gonna give you an example of one of the tomes that's kind of cool because it's it is for something right here.
There you go.
It is for something that wasn't in the General's Handbook, but represents kind of some of the older miniatures and lines from Warhammer Fantasy. And if you have those armies lying around, you can start playing as well.
Absolutely.
So here's an Order warband, and so you're going to choose your champion. And is he a human, an elf, a Duerden? And then you have same thing, really powerful ones with low amounts of followers. Like I want a battle mage on a griffin, all the way down to I want a Black Arc Fleet Master who's just a dude with a peg leg and a bad attitude, and so he gets a ton of followers.
Sure.
And then you have all your followers tables. Same thing, retinues. So there's these 2 pages are almost 3 different sub warbands.
Right. All condensed into one.
Exactly. All crammed into one. And that's and they have so many options that these 2 pages are just their followers. And then same thing, they have their rewards. They have
a different hero reward for each.
Right, based on. So this is an example of it's really cool because they didn't have to do this, but this is put in there to make sure that all the people who have all those existing armies out there, you can totally join in the fun too.
Yeah, if you've got your empire just sitting around, time to dust them off.
Yeah, exactly. And then so we go through that all the way through the very end, and then at the very end of it, you get and then in the very last couple pages. You get your sheet that you're going to be photocopying and using that to keep track of all your stuff. But here's the funky part. So I'm sure they reverse engineered this afterwards. But the last 4 pages of this are them talking about how you should be buying the Start Collecting boxes, which have been out now for a while, and there's lots of them now for Age of Sigmar. But what they point out and what all of these boxes are is they're now pointing out that all of these Start Collecting boxes exactly form legal Path to Glory warbands.
Oh, coincidental.
So, yeah, I wonder how that happened. So literally, as they point out, you can be like, oh, I'm interested in doing Demons of Nurgle. Well, if I buy the Demons of Nurgle...
I've got a warband.
Which is, let's see, where is it? Where is Demons of Nurgle? I'm not even going to see it.
Nope.
Probably not even there.
It's...
Oh, wait,
there
where is it? Right there, Demons of Nurgle. Hey, it's going to come. There's my champion. Those are my 3 units of followers. And I have a legal warband. Boom. And I don't have to buy anything. So every one of these boxes exactly translates into a legal starting warband.
Cool.
Which is very cool.
Super handy if you want to jump in.
There we go. That is... There's the back. I know. Ta-da! So that is...